Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about past lives, but before I begin my talk, I'll tell you a little bit about where I am at today. It is sometime around the end of February that I'm doing this in 2018, and I am currently in West Virginia, hanging out a little bit with my sister, and I'll be traveling to New York and New Jersey. On March 17th of 2018, I will be doing an animal communication workshop in Mount Holly, New Jersey. I'll put a link down below in case you, in a timely fashion, if you happen to be watching this in the next couple of weeks and you live in that area. So past lives, past lives. I've done a lot of work with past lives on myself, and I've also done a lot of work with past lives for my clients. When I first started doing past lives, I had the belief that it had happened to me a long time ago. It had happened to me in a past life. Now my knowing is a little bit different. But first, let me tell you about my first experience with past lives. It was at least 15 to 20 years ago, and I was in therapy, a real great therapist I had, and my challenge at that time was not leaving this man that I was with, and it was dysfunctional. It wasn't making me completely happy, wasn't abusive, it just wasn't the right relationship, but didn't have any trouble leaving it. I had trouble staying gone. So when I left, I'd always go right back, and that was a problem for me. I just couldn't see myself leaving for good. So I'm in therapy. We talk about a lot of things, as we always do, and he said to me, what would happen if you didn't call him after you left him, broke up? What would happen if you didn't call him? And I immediately had this fear take over my body. I clutched my hands to my heart and went, I would die. And we both looked at each other, and I smiled because I knew in that moment that wasn't me talking. That was fear inside of me talking. I'd never felt that fear. But in that moment, I must have been so open to receive a piece of me that I felt was living in fear. So I said to myself, time to look at past lives, maybe. I don't know if my therapist encouraged that. To be honest, I don't remember that. But I know I sat on my cushion and I Googled, this was before I was a medium, but I was almost in yoga. I don't know if I had started yoga. I may have started yoga. So I knew about meditation. So I immediately went on YouTube and started Googling past life meditations. And to be honest, I don't know which one I found. I have my favorites now, but I don't know which one I found back then. But I sat on my cushion and I religiously did past life after past life after past life with the intention of figuring out why I was having difficulty leaving this man in this lifetime. And at that time, again, I think time was linear, that this happened, that happened then, and this was happening now. I don't believe that anymore. So every past life that I saw with this gentleman, every time I left him or every time I broke up with him, I died. I either jumped off a cliff, was pushed off a cliff, killed myself, someone killed me, spent the rest of my life alone until the day I died, but there was always death involved, and I never had anything else after this person. So in that moment, I said to myself, well, now I can almost understand why in this life I felt like I would die if I left him. So what did I do? Well, I intuitively somehow knew that the next time I broke up with him, when I felt that I'm going to die feeling, I could just label it at that point. Now, I don't like to label feelings, but in that moment, I labeled it as something outside myself. It wasn't me. It was a piece of me, but it wasn't me. So I said to myself, Donna, this isn't those past lives. This is now. You're not going to die. No one's going to kill you. There are no cliffs you're going to jump off of. This is not that life. This is this life. So I was able to take a deep breath around that feeling I had each time I left him. And what happened over the next year was I was able to leave him for longer times. So the first time I left, it might have been a day or two. The next time I did it again, it might have been a week or a month, and it just got longer and longer. Now, this was my MO. This is what I did with this guy. I left and I went back. I left and I went back. There was always something in my head that was telling me, you aren't good enough. You might as well go back to that. And I actually one time heard that voice in my head say that to me. But that's another video on, I don't know, self-worth, the voices in your head. Ping me on that next time to remind me I should do one on that one. So I was able to leave him, and I was able to leave him for a longer period of time, to the point where I never went back. And he never questioned it. Now, mind you, in these past lives, he never died. I was always the one that died. And I found that very interesting also. So that was my first introduction to past lives. But in my own physical body, I was still having that feeling, do we really need to do that? Why couldn't I just leave that man? So it was in the back of my head all of this time. Then I become someone who sees spirits, right? We've all heard the story. If you haven't heard the story, you should hear the story of the first time I saw a spirit. So I'll tell it right now in case you haven't heard that. I'm sitting in my bedroom in Virginia. I had done a lot of work on my spirit guides. I had gotten the names of many of my spirit guides. So I would always sit around in my meditations and I would have them with me. Well, this time I was watching an Abraham Hicks video of Esther speaking to Abraham. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I'll put a link in the comments below also. And it was about maybe the second one I'd seen. I wasn't a follower of them, but my mom was and my brother was. And they had always said to me, Donna, you need to listen to Esther speak. And I just didn't have the time. I didn't want to follow a guru. It wasn't something I wanted to do. I wanted to experience what I wanted to experience without having someone tell me their experience. So I needed to feel it first, do it first, and then I would get confirmed. So I'm watching this video and I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. And someone appears, a soul appears in my bed. I know it's not a physical soul because no one walked in the door, but yet it was a gentleman and he appeared to me just as if I was sitting next to someone from the physical world. And he was a good-looking older gentleman, had a nice jacket and tie on. And in my head, I'm going, cool, an older, unavailable man, just my type, right? Cue the laughter. So I start talking to him as if he is right there. I'm not freaked out. I'm not nothing. So I just say, hey, how are you? And who are you? But I said, I'm just watching this video. Have you ever seen this? And I'm talking to him like he's sitting there. And in my head, he was. So he said, click the link right there at the bottom of your screen. And I said, yeah, but I really want to finish watching this. Want to just watch it with me? I mean, I don't know why this guy is here. So he says, click the link, and he's becoming a little more adamant. He's saying, click the link, Donna. And he knows my name, click the link, Donna. And I'm like, okay. So I finally click the link, and that link takes me to a picture of Jerry and Esther. And Jerry is the person who was sitting next to me. And as soon as I turned and say to him, hey, that's you, he disappears. Now, in my mind, I know nothing. Is Jerry crossed over? Is Jerry alive? I have no idea. So I call my mother and I say, Mom, is Jerry gone? Has he crossed? And she said she didn't know. So it took me a good day to research online to find out if Jerry was gone. It turned out he had passed about 4 months prior. Again, in my head, I'm going, I don't know why he's here. I don't know why he appeared so vividly to me. So that set me on a 4-month trek, and that's got to be in some other video that I've listed here. On a 4-month trek to figure out what was the purpose of him appearing to me, until I saw a medium that confirmed it. So in between those 4 months, I went to and awakenings. It was one of those events that the Awakening magazine puts on somewhere in the DC area. And in that, I went to a workshop that was called Past Life Regression. I'm like, okay, I know a little bit about past lives. Let me see if I can get this Jerry person to come around. So this is now a live one. Someone's actually leading it. It's not one of my guided ones where I'm looking at it online. And I hadn't done a past life meditation in years because I didn't need to do one. There was nothing challenging me. But this was a challenge. Why is this person appearing? Why is this soul appearing to me? So I sit in the meditation, close my eyes. She takes us back. I immediately see myself on the bow of a boat in the middle of this humongous storm. Yeah, which reminds me, I have also a fear of the water, which I figured out. But in that moment, I am clutching to the railing in this storm. It's not a big boat, it's not a little boat, clutching to the railing. I look at myself and I have this this sort of wedding dress on me. It's white, or it's a pajama of some sort. I don't know, some sort of gown. And I'm drenched wet. It's not me. Obviously, I'm not Donna, but it's a piece of me. It's a piece of my soul that I am viewing through these new eyes. I turn around in the boat and I see Jerry. Not the Jerry I saw in my bedroom that day, but the Jerry, I felt his soul. It wasn't him physically, but it was his soul. And that starts to make sense to me later on down the road. But in that moment, I'm just feeling it. I'm okay with it. So I turn to look at him holding on to the bow of this boat. And all of a sudden, the boat crashes, million pieces, whatever. And I'm floating. I'm floating now in the water, hanging on to this piece of wood. Jerry's nowhere to be found. I'm screaming, whatever his name was, I don't remember. I'm just yelling, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And I wake up. There are tears in my eyes because I'm realizing I lost this man. Later on, I realized, did I lose him or was he alive? Did I die? I don't know. I didn't take myself to the end of that lifetime. It doesn't always happen when I do past life readings that you go to the end of a lifetime. Often you do, but not every time. So in that moment, that showed me, okay, Jerry and I were something together in past lives. So I did a lot more regressions on myself of my own past lives, and my intention was to see Jerry. And we were together in many past lives. In many past lives, we died together. We didn't spend many years together, but we were together in many past lives. I don't know how to say it any clearer than that, but we were always challenged by death. We always left each other. So what happens to me then? So then I become a medium. And then I start realizing that I'm seeing the past lives of my clients. So I'm going to jump now forward a year or two as I'm doing readings. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what things I hear from my clients and things I've seen for my clients in past lives. So if someone comes to me in a reading and says, I'm really challenged by male figures in my life. I don't feel like I have a grasp. I feel like they're judging me all the time. So I will say at that point, okay, let's see if we can get a past life where that happened. And I will most likely go into a past life. We'll figure that out. So I'm going to explain more about that. But the real question at that time becomes, is that you in the past life? Is that a piece of you in the past life? So you used to believe time was linear. I used to believe time was linear. Time is not lines lining up. Time loops. Time is always happening right now. Let me say this too also. So let's say you're a soul in a pitcher of water. Your soul is the pitcher of water. And what you choose in the in-between life is to where to put that soul into another physical body so that you'll come down to this next lifetime, and figure things out. What if what you did was put that pitcher of water in many different souls. So there's a piece of your soul in this one, a piece of your soul in this physical body, a piece of your soul in this physical body. And you have contracts. It's still you. So you say, this piece of my soul is going to go to a timeline where I learn this. This piece of my soul is going to go to a timeline where I learn this. And this piece of my soul is going to be in me. Interesting. So now I'm seeing, Donna is seeing and knowing that timelines are like this. They're happening at all the time. So I'm seeing myself in my other timelines, that piece of my soul. You've heard the phrase, we're going to go and get a piece of your soul. We're going to retrieve a piece of your soul. Shamans do that work. Some mediums do that work. We're going to retrieve a piece of your soul. What I know now from my work as a medium, as I am actually retrieving that piece of the soul that the person in front of me, my client, is having challenges with. That piece of the soul that they left behind. Because the lesson that they were sent to learn in that past lifetime didn't get learned. They died before the lesson got learned. So now they come back, or they are in this lifetime, and that piece is back there. But yet the person sitting in front of me still feels that piece missing. So what I'm doing in a reading is actually retrieving that past life piece of your soul and bringing it back to you. So the next morning you wake up and you go, wow, I don't have that challenge anymore. It's gone. Just like I didn't have that challenge before with that man in my life, that I could leave him and stay apart from him by reminding myself, actually speaking to that piece of me that died so many times after I left him. And that's what I advise my clients to do. When that challenging moment crops up again, you just say, I realize that's a piece of me that hasn't been healed. And typically I give you what the person looked like. I may even give you the name of the person that you were in that past life. So you're able to speak to them as they are your soul. And you're able to bring them back together, bring the two of you back together. So the pieces of your soul come together so that you're one. It's all a way to bring unity back to your soul so that your soul can come out and say, I'm here, I'm in full form, and now what do we want to do? Also, what can happen as a piece of your soul, you could decide in the in-between life that you want to put a piece of your soul into many different bodies, physical bodies, in this lifetime. Let me explain that one, because that one just occurred a couple months ago. So I kind of figured that was possible, that my soul could be in, one piece of my soul could also be in someone else. You know how people say they have a doppelganger? There's someone out there that looks just like them. I'm convinced now, because I have proof that a piece of that person's soul is actually in that person also. So I confronted a friend of mine. We were discussing something. Shout out to Natalie. Thanks, Natalie, for this one. I said to her, why would somebody do that? Why would you decide to come into this lifetime, we'll say right here, this one, this physical body, and want your soul in different pieces, in different bodies? Why would you want to do that? And she, without even thinking, said, to learn things faster, to evolve your soul faster. Wow, that makes perfect sense. So let's say you knew you were coming into a lifetime with many different lessons. You knew that before you got here. And you're thinking, that's overwhelming. I don't want to do it in one person. I want to do it in a few persons. So you put a piece of your soul, remember that water pitcher, you put a piece of your soul into different physical bodies, and you all come down at the same time. You may or may not be the same age. I'm not convinced that that's possible or not possible. You all come down to the same time frame. You may die at different times, but remember, there is no time. So when that physical body dies, that soul, a piece of you, goes back up to the in-between and just waits for the rest of your pieces to come together. It's really a fabulous idea if you think about it. I'm saying idea because I'm thinking you're thinking it's an idea. I know it's true. I know it's fact. I know because of what the work I've been doing. Okay, so that's a lot of talk about past lives. I'm going to now explain a couple different scenarios of past lives in readings that I've given to clients so you can get a clearer picture how that works during a reading. I recently was at the Omega Institute, and I'll put that link down in the description also. And I was blessed enough to do a bunch of readings for guests there during the week that Brian Weiss was there. And if you know Brian Weiss, he is a past life regressionist. Fabulous. And people come from all over the world to come to see Brian Weiss. So I was able to do people from Singapore, from Thailand. It was fabulous. And if they were they're in this week-long retreat with Brian, and he puts them through a lot of meditations. So as soon as they sit down in front of me, I say, were you able to get some past lives? And they say, no, I can't get anything. And I said, well, let's get you a couple. So now when you go into Brian's class again, and he puts you into a past life, you can see it because I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to visualize this for you. You can feel it, and then you could work from there. And they've all been very fortunate to be able to do that. So I'll be at Omega again next year too. And I'm hoping I come visit, that some of you come visit me. So one of the gentlemen I did during a reading when I was at Vibrant Health Institute, he was a younger man and I didn't know anything about him. He just says, I want a reading. And I said, great. He had to be in his mid-20s. And again, I've asked him if I could share this story without using his name. So I immediately jump to a past life. Spirit immediately shows me a past life. I don't know if, when I do a reading, I let Spirit run the show. So whatever they send me, I say. Whatever comes out of my mouth is from Spirit World. So for this gentleman, first and foremost, he needed to see one of his past lives. So I immediately go to a past life where it's a desert. I don't know the time frame, but it's desert. And he is dropped off in the middle of the desert by a bunch of people. They're a bunch of men. And they go away. They leave him there. He's not just dropped off, he's chained to the ground. He's sitting on the ground and he's chained to the ground. He can't move. He can't move. As far as these chains are, they are not letting him move. So the first thing I feel in my body is the strain on my arms from these chains. So I say to him, do you have problems with your forearms, straining with your forearms? And he says to me, yes, I play the guitar and I had to stop playing the guitar because I have tendinitis. And no doctor could figure out why the tendinitis was there in his forearms. He hadn't been playing the guitar that long, and he's young, he's in his 20s. And no one could tell him why, and he couldn't fix it, but he had to stop playing the guitar. And I said, okay, number one challenge you brought over from this past life. And I explained to him what I was seeing in my head, what I explained to you. The next thing, so Spirit's going to send me through a movie of the past life, through a movie. So it's like I'm seeing a movie. The next thing they show me is food. He's hungry. He's hungry. So I say to him, do you feel constantly that you are never satisfied? I didn't feel hunger, but satisfied. You are never satisfied with what you're doing. And he said, yes, absolutely. How do you know that? And I said, because this is what I'm seeing in this past life. You've carried it over, that piece of your soul. Then I see like animals, small animals running in front of him, snakes that run in front of him. But he can't reach them. He's straining his arms to reach them because they would be food for him. He would be able to kill them and eat them, but he can't reach them. And I said, this food is always just beyond your reach. And he says, I feel that. I feel that with almost everything I try to do. It's just beyond my reach. And I said, are you feeling what I'm describing? And he said, absolutely, keep going. The next thing I see is I feel that, honey, you can't get up. There's something about your legs that you can't get up out of this position. And then it came to me. he's paralyzed from the waist down. He was put out in the desert, chained up, because whoever put him there, their belief was if they left him there long enough, that would be his penance. And he would either come out understanding or he would be able to walk again. That was their belief. What happened was the people that put him there and said to him, "We'll be back for you," never came back. They suffered some sort of cataclysmic death. I don't know what happened to them. I just know they all died. And they never came back for him. They were all men. So I said to him, in my heart, I feel, man, you got put there. These men put you there, and then they never come back for you. I said, so in this life, do you have a challenge with men? Do you have a challenge with authority figures who are men? And he said, totally, I do. I was raised by women, my mother, my aunts and sisters. I don't have men around me, and every time I go to work for a man, it's bad. It's bad. And I said, now you understand why. So he's like, all right, well, what happened to me? What happened to me? I said, honey, you died there. You died there in the desert. You couldn't pull those stakes out of the ground. You couldn't walk. You couldn't eat. You couldn't drink. You died. So we had a moment of feeling that. And then we talked about how now that could help him in this life. I just retrieved a piece of his soul that had so many lessons that were still learning. He was still learning in this life. That was that I think took the whole hour. That was pretty intense. But he understood it. He understood it all. We talked about how he could talk to that piece of his soul to get him to come back. It's almost like doing inner child work, only it's past life. An understanding that that piece of his soul is out there, but yet still here. It's not in the past life. It's still playing itself out because timelines loop. They don't run linear. Did I mention I have another video on this channel about timelines? They aren't lines, they loop. That's a good one. So the next day, I'm fortunate enough to see him because he's staying there. The next day he comes up to me, totally different attitude. Got an attitude adjustment, feeling better, feeling lighter, feeling like he can go out and just do so much more. And I'm sure he did. Felt so much better. So that's what happens in past lives. Donna has continued to do a lot of past life work. If I have a challenge here that I just keep on encountering, I just recently did a past life because I don't like snow now. I mean, I used to be okay with it. Now I really don't want to live anywhere where there is snow. If I see snow and I see cars in snow, freaks me out, don't want to do it. So I went into a past life where I died in the snow. I died traveling through the snow. And so I said, oh, okay, so that's a past life. I don't have to fear snow like that anymore. And it's almost changed a little bit in me. I can feel a difference now. Same thing I did when I had the fear of water. I constantly went back and asked, why do I have this fear of water? And I retrieved that piece of my soul so it can come back. That was a lot, right? I am open to questions about past lives. It is the work I love to do, if that's what you're meant to do. If you decide to do a reading with me, and Spirit is going to send you a past life, then it is what you're meant to do. First and foremost, for your soul's evolution. Spirit might send you something else. They might send you a soul that you're working with. Let me also say that I used to think I would only read souls in the non-physical world. I don't. I read souls in the physical world also. The last video I did talked about consciousness and how I can read the souls of the couch, the chair, the wooden snowman that I read during a reading. And you can look at that video. That was the last one I posted on what is consciousness. So let's go back to the question of this video, what it's titled, Past Lives. Do I really need to go there? Hey, if you don't have any challenges with your life and life feels pretty good for you, no, you don't have to go to past life. You absolutely don't have to go to past lives. However, if there's something in your life that's challenging you and in your body, you've worked it and you've worked it, and let's say you've been to therapy and you've done that work and just can't get past it, or in a relationship like mine was, if that is happening to you, then past life work would definitely benefit you. It's quick, it's really painless, because the piece of soul that's sitting in front of me isn't there. It's that piece of the soul that's in the past life that is experiencing that trauma. So what you do is actually come together and you represent that other piece that says, I understand you had to die in the desert. I understand that it was suffering. I understand that those men left you and that must have been so challenging for you, and I feel for that. First, you have to honor what happened. You can't just jump to, hey, it happened, get over it. I can't do that. Not when I've been challenged by something for so many years. I've done that type of work. I've shoved it down. I said, stop thinking about it. Just move on. I couldn't do it until I experienced past life. So to me, it was very important. To my clients, it's very important. So you do the work with the past life piece of you. You bring it back to you, and there's another piece of your soul, unity, that comes together. This is the year of unity. This is the year where our souls come out. This is the year where masculine and feminine come together and go forward as one. No more duality. No more duality. No more good, bad, right, or wrong. Only forward as one. In unity, universal oneness. Down below in the descriptions, I'm also going to put all my blogs, which are very interesting. I would love it if you have any questions based on what I just said. Either put them in the comments, send me an email. I will email back. I will also probably post it somewhere with your permission, because if you have that question right now, so does someone else. And that's what I love about this type of work. If you have that question, someone else is asking it also. You're not alone. We are one. Thank you so much for listening. This was a good one. This was about 32 minutes. That's a good one. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure you're going to have to listen a couple times because people say that too. I had to listen to that one a few times. But know that in my knowing, everything I've just said to you is what I've experienced. And because I've experienced it, I now know it. Because Spirit has allowed me to do this work with myself, on myself, and also with others. I thank you. I thank you. You can also Google on YouTube, Brian Weiss, Past Life Regression, and it's from Omega, one of his years at Omega. And I've done that one at least 4 or 5 times, and each time I do it, I come up with a new past life. It's a very interesting regression he takes you on. He takes you down to birth, he takes you down to into your mother's womb, and then takes you to that past life, and also leads you to the end of that past life. It may or may not happen for you when you do it, but keep doing it. You may get a flash of a past life, but not the full past life. That's okay, because the next time you do it, you bring that flash back to your head. You instigate it, you prime the pump, and then continue with the movie. It's always safe because you're watching it. You're viewing it as if it were a movie. And then do the work with that piece of your soul to come back to you. I love this work. And I love being able to talk to you. So share this video, share it, like it, just so other people, make a comment so other people get turned on by it also. Thank you so much for being here and for hanging in for this one. We'll talk to you next time. I'm not sure what the next video will be. I'm thinking it might have something with duality and how we're still defining thoughts and things as good, bad, right, or wrong. I'm not a fan of those words. It just is as it is, as life is as it is. Bye, guys. Take care. We'll see you at Omega, maybe.